Why do you keep explaining yourself to people who don't even understand your vision? Think about that. Why are you wasting your breath, your energy, trying to get others to believe in something they were never meant to see? The truth is, not everyone deserves access to your path. Not everyone is meant to understand your fire. And the more you try to convince them, the more you drain yourself. You're giving your power away every time you feel the need to justify your journey. That's not strength. That's hesitation disguised as approval-seeking. And it's keeping you small. You don't need to explain why you've changed. You don't need to explain why you've disappeared. You don't need to explain why you're focused, why you're silent, why you're cutting off distractions. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become undeniable. Let your work echo. Let your discipline scream. Let your growth speak for itself. Because nothing commands respect like quiet transformation. People don't believe in words. They believe in results. That's the truth. And the moment you realize this, everything changes. This world will not hand you validation. It will not clap for your potential. It will not reward your dreams just because you talk about them. It will only respect execution. You get one shot in this life, and you can either waste it broadcasting your intentions, or you can go silent and build something unshakable. Talk less. Do more. You don't have time to be explaining. You have a future to create. And that future is forged in silence, in sweat, in sacrifice, not in conversations with people who haven't done what you're trying to do. When you stop explaining and start executing, your confidence rises. You stop worrying about opinions. You stop needing reassurance. You begin to trust your process, your plan, your grind. And that shift, that internal shift, is where power begins. It's where clarity lives. It's where peace comes from. You don't need the world to cheer for you. You need to become so consistent, so disciplined, so locked in that even silence becomes proof of your growth. Let them wonder what you're up to. Let them speculate. Let them whisper. Because soon they won't be able to ignore you. You have no obligation to be understood. Your only obligation is to your evolution, to your greatness, to your potential. And that can only be accessed through discipline and silence. You don't need to post it. You don't need to talk about it. You need to live it, breathe it, own it. And if you do, you'll reach a point where the only thing louder than your silence is your success. That's the reward. That's the outcome. That's why you must stay locked in till the end. Because when you stop explaining and start executing, your life stops being a conversation and becomes a statement. Silence isn't weakness. It's control. It's choosing not to react to every distraction. It's deciding to protect your energy, not waste it. When you remove yourself from the noise, from the endless opinions, from the chaos that tries to pull you in 100 directions, you begin to rise. The world teaches you to stay loud, to stay visible, to constantly broadcast every move. But real growth happens in stillness. Real power builds in silence. The strongest minds aren't the ones screaming for attention. They're the ones so dialed in that they don't even notice the noise. That's where you must live. When your mind is clear, you think sharper. When your emotions are stable, your decisions become precise. Silence is the space where clarity speaks. It's where strategy forms. It's where you begin to understand your real mission. Not the one the world told you to chase, but the one your soul was built for. And that kind of clarity doesn't come when you're distracted. It doesn't come when you're over-explaining, over-sharing, over-consuming. It only comes when you shut it all down and go inward. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you're building mental armor. Every time you let go of the need to respond, you are sharpening your focus. This is how you build unshakable inner strength, by refusing to let the outside world dictate your inner state. The less you respond to chaos, the more power you keep. The less you chase noise, the more clarity you gain. And when clarity becomes your compass, your life begins to align. You stop chasing what's irrelevant. You stop tolerating what drains you. You begin to protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. You don't need to prove yourself with words. You prove yourself by what you choose to ignore, by what you're willing to walk away from, by what you refuse to let disrupt your path. When you learn to be silent, you become dangerous because you're no longer reactive. You move with intention. You act from strategy. You lead with discipline. People won't understand it, and they don't need to, because you're not doing it for attention. You're doing it to evolve. This level of self-control, this depth of inner silence, is where the greats separate themselves. They don't need noise. They don't seek validation. They stay quiet, focused, unbothered. And because of that, they rise while others are still talking. You must choose to be that person. You must choose to retreat from the noise, cut off the distractions, and go deeper within yourself than you ever have before. That's where your edge is. That's where your greatness hides. You don't need to be seen every step of the way. Let them doubt you. Let them misunderstand. The deeper your silence, the louder your success will sound when it finally arrives. Keep building in the quiet. Let the silence become your signature. Let it become your power. The need to be understood is the greatest enemy of self-mastery. It keeps you explaining when you should be building. It keeps you reaching outward when the answers are inside. It pulls you into a cycle of proving your worth to people who haven't earned the right to witness your transformation. When you constantly seek validation, you give your power away, piece by piece, day by day, until your identity becomes tied to the opinions of others. That's not growth. That's surrender. And it's time to take that power back. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your focus. You don't need permission to rise. The people who truly matter won't need convincing. They'll feel the shift. They'll see the glow. And the rest, let them watch in confusion. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be great. And greatness has always been misunderstood. If you're constantly adjusting yourself to be accepted, you'll never find the strength to break free. But when you let go of the need for approval, you become unstoppable. Validation is seductive because it feels like progress. But it's a trap. It's a false sense of momentum, a counterfeit confidence that disappears the moment people stop clapping. That's why you must build your identity in silence. That's why you must ground yourself in something deeper than applause. Your focus must be internal. Your validation must come from the mirror, not the crowd. Because when the world goes quiet, and it will, the only voice that matters is your own. There is nothing more dangerous than a person who no longer needs to be seen, because they become unpredictable, unshakable. They operate from purpose, not performance, from principle, not pressure. When you no longer care about being understood, you're free to become your truest, most powerful self. And that kind of freedom is rare. That kind of strength is uncommon. It's the foundation of real transformation. The world will always try to box you in. It will ask you to shrink so others feel comfortable. It will tell you to stay quiet when you're ready to speak, and to speak when silence is your greatest asset. But you don't answer to that noise anymore. You answer to your calling. You answer to your vision. You answer to the standard you've set for yourself. And that standard is higher than anyone else can comprehend. That's why they won't understand. And that's exactly why you don't need them to. Let them talk. Let them guess. Let them misunderstand every move you make. Because the more they question, the more powerful your silence becomes. Your discipline becomes your declaration. Your progress becomes your proof. And one day they'll look back and realize what they missed. Not because you told them, but because your life became the evidence. Focus on your mission. Own your silence. You have nothing to prove, only greatness to achieve. When your vision becomes clear, your tolerance for nonsense disappears. Distraction no longer entertains you. Drama no longer affects you. Small talk, pointless conversations, and meaningless opinions start to fade into the background. You're no longer interested in surface-level noise because you've tapped into something deeper, purpose. And when purpose takes over, your focus sharpens like a blade. You begin to see what others can't. You start moving in ways that confuse average minds. And that's exactly how you know you're on the right path. Tunnel vision is not just about obsession, it's about liberation. It's the freedom to give your time, your energy, and your mind only to what matters. You stop scattering your focus. You stop chasing 100 things and start mastering one. And that shift changes everything. When your energy is undivided, your power multiplies. You become a force. Not because you're doing more, but because you've stripped away everything that doesn't serve your mission. That's the secret. Simplicity is the doorway to mastery. Most people fail not because they lack ambition, but because they allow themselves to be pulled in every direction. They get caught in comparison, in overthinking, and external noise. They try to do everything and end up doing nothing well. But not you. You've made the decision to lock in, to zero in on the goal and block out everything else. That's rare. That's elite. And that's what separates winners from the rest. You must protect your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. Your ability to focus will determine your future. Your focus is your life force. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And where your energy flows, your results grow. So you have to be ruthless about what you let in. Every notification, every distraction, every mindless scroll is stealing from your potential. Every second you give to the unimportant is a second you've taken from the life you're trying to build. This is not about being busy. This is about being aligned. This is about taking control of your direction and owning your priorities with ferocity. You have to want it bad enough to say no to everything else. No to comfort, no to distractions, no to the opinions that try to water down your fire. You have to protect your focus like it's sacred, because it is. In that space of extreme focus, your identity transforms. You become sharper, quieter, more driven. You stop trying to prove yourself and start becoming yourself. And when you live like that, locked in, eyes forward, noise behind, you begin to move at a different frequency. People won't understand your silence, your distance, your discipline. Let them wonder. Let them talk. Because soon your results will speak so loudly they'll drown out everything else. Stay in your lane. Stay locked in. Don't just focus. Obsess. And let that obsession carry you straight into the life they said you could never have. You don't rise by chasing approval. You rise by chasing mastery. And mastery demands isolation. It demands a level of self-respect so high that you no longer tolerate anything that weakens your focus. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. Clear on who you are. Clear on where you're going. Clear on what deserves your attention. Because the more you grow, the less space you have for noise. Growth isn't always visible. It's not always loud. Most of the time it happens in the dark, where no one claps, no one watches, and no one understands. But that's where strength is born. That's where transformation begins. When you stop spreading your energy thin, you start building depth. You stop skimming the surface and start drilling into your purpose. And that depth creates an unshakable core. A core that doesn't crack when life gets hard. A core that doesn't break when people leave, when plans change, when storms hit. Because you've built it yourself. Through discipline, through solitude, through relentless focus. Most people don't have that. They chase surface success. They chase temporary applause. But what they don't realize is that the surface always collapses. Only the rooted survive. There's a reason the most focused people seem detached. It's because they've learned to separate noise from necessity. They're not rude. They're selective. They don't respond to everything. They don't entertain every voice. They've trained themselves to guard their mental space like it's sacred, because it is. And if you want to break through, you must become the same. You must become immune to distraction, immune to drama, immune to anything that doesn't add power to your purpose. Focus is not just about attention. It's about emotional discipline. It's the refusal to be swayed by what doesn't matter. It's walking away from things that used to tempt you because you've outgrown them. It's saying no without guilt. It's disappearing without explanation. It's choosing growth over comfort again and again until it becomes your instinct. Most will never do it, but you're not most. You've already made the decision to elevate, and elevation requires separation. You can't keep feeding your mind junk and expect to produce greatness. You can't surround yourself with mediocrity and expect excellence to grow. Everything in your environment is either sharpening you or dulling you. Every habit you repeat is either building you or breaking you. There is no neutral. You're either rising or regressing. That's why focus matters. Because when your focus is clean, your life becomes a weapon. You start to see clearly, move strategically, speak intentionally, act decisively, and people will notice. Not because you told them, but because your presence shifts the energy in every room you enter. That's the level you're reaching. That's the path you're on. No more seeking approval. No more scattering your energy. No more distractions disguised as entertainment. You are here for something greater. And from this moment forward, your focus will reflect that. Let the world talk. Let the results answer. You don't get to the top by chance. You get there by choice. You choose discipline when it's uncomfortable. You choose growth when it's painful. You choose focus when it's easier to be distracted. Every day you make small decisions that either build your future or betray it. And the truth is, no one will force you to make the right ones. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to save you. It's on you, all of it. That's not pressure. That's power. Because once you accept full responsibility, you unlock full control. Most people drift through life waiting for motivation to arrive. They wait for inspiration, for validation, for some magical moment to give them permission to go all in. But high performers don't wait. They create. They get up even when they don't feel like it. They show up when no one's watching. They don't need the perfect mood or the perfect conditions. They've trained their minds to follow through no matter what. That's the standard. That's the level required if you're serious about changing your life. You will never feel like doing the hard things consistently. Your emotions will fight it. Your mind will try to negotiate. But if you only act when it's easy, you'll never become strong. Real discipline is doing it when it's boring, when it's tiring, when your excuses sound convincing. It's doing it when no one claps, when no one believes in you, when nothing around you reflects the reward yet. That's the test. That's where champions are built, not in comfort, but in commitment. And you either pass that test daily or you don't. What separates the elite from everyone else isn't talent, it's obsession. It's how bad they want it when no one's watching. It's the level of effort they give when they're tired, when they're doubted, when they're misunderstood. They don't talk about it. They embody it. They live the standard, breathe the work, and block out everything that doesn't push them forward. That's the mindset you need to develop, one that's locked in on the mission and deaf to distractions. Every time you skip what you should do, you weaken your identity. You tell your mind you don't follow through. But every time you execute, especially when it's hard, you strengthen your confidence. You prove to yourself that you are the kind of person who finishes what you start. That identity is more powerful than any goal, because goals come and go, but identity is who you become. And who you become determines everything. Your success is hiding in your habits, in the choices you make when no one sees, in the consistency you apply when it's hard. That's where transformation happens. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. So train when it's inconvenient. Work when it's quiet. Focus when everyone else is relaxing, because in the end, your results won't come from what you say. They'll come from what you repeat over and over, relentlessly, until there's no doubt who you are. Every time you commit to growth, life will test you, not because it wants you to fail, but because it needs to know how badly you want it. The moment you decide to rise, resistance shows up. The moment you decide to focus, distractions multiply. This is not coincidence. It's the law of progress. Anything truly worth having will demand a stronger version of you. It will challenge your patience, your belief, your endurance. And if you're not ready to fight for your future, you'll fold into your past. There will be days when your vision feels distant, when the grind feels endless, when your results don't match your effort. But that is exactly when you must dig deeper. That is when you separate yourself from the rest. Because it's easy to show up when things go your way. It's easy to feel powerful when you're praised. But who are you when no one notices? Who are you when your hard work is met with silence? That answer defines your trajectory. That identity is forged in the shadows. Success is not a straight line. It's a war. A war against your old habits. A war against your inner critic. A war against the easy road calling you back. And the only way you win that war is by showing up without needing applause, by executing without needing motivation, by becoming so rooted in discipline that nothing sways you. Not opinions, not setbacks, not fatigue. Because the mission is bigger than your emotions. The future is louder than the noise. People will doubt you. Some will laugh. Others will try to slow you down because your focus makes them uncomfortable. Let them. Let them project their fears while you build your freedom. Let them misunderstand your silence while you sharpen your weapons. You don't need their understanding. You need your results. You don't owe explanations. You owe yourself excellence. And that kind of excellence is not built through comfort. It's built through fire. The fire you walk through alone. The fire that burns off weakness and reveals strength. There will always be reasons to quit. There will always be temptations to settle. But champions don't entertain those reasons. They don't argue with excuses. They move forward. One step, one choice, one disciplined decision at a time. And with every step, they silence the voice that says slow down. With every rep, they bury the doubts. With every disciplined act, they carve out a new standard. That standard becomes your shield, your code, your quiet weapon in a world full of noise. While others chase attention, you chase elevation. While they look around, you look within. While they get distracted, you lock in. And eventually the results speak so clearly that no voice can argue them. You become undeniable, not because you shouted louder, but because you stayed locked in longer. So keep going, keep rising, keep choosing discipline over drama, consistency over chaos, and purpose over pleasure. Your future is already watching. Make sure it sees something unstoppable. Every day you wake up, you're either moving closer to your potential or further from it. There is no neutral ground. Every decision, every thought, every action adds or subtracts from the person you're becoming. You can't grow by accident. You can't level up by doing what's easy. Progress demands precision. It requires you to be brutally honest with yourself, to stop pretending that average habits will lead to an exceptional life. They won't. You can't scroll your way into greatness. You can't complain your way to the top. You build your future in silence, through sacrifice, through standards that others aren't willing to live by. The truth is, most people would rather be accepted than be excellent. They'll trade long-term fulfillment for short-term validation. They'll shrink their potential to fit into comfort zones. But you're not most people. You've already felt that fire deep inside, the pull towards something greater. And that pull doesn't go away. It gets louder the more you ignore it. That's not your ego. That's your future calling. That's your higher self reminding you that you're not here to live on repeat. You're here to rise. You weren't built to blend in. You weren't created to coast. That restless energy inside you, the desire to break limits, to push harder, to become more, that's your gift. And it comes with responsibility. You don't get to waste time. You don't get to make excuses. Not anymore. Not if you want what you say you want. Your goals don't care how you feel. They only respond to what you do. So if you're tired, keep going. If you're uncomfortable, lean in. If you're alone, use the silence to sharpen your mind. You need to understand this. You are being shaped right now by the discipline you apply or the distractions you allow. There's no in-between. Either your habits are elevating you or they're eroding your future. Either your mindset is sharpening your edge or it's dulling your fire. And that's why focus is everything. It's not just about productivity, it's about identity. When you commit to focus, you're telling the world who you are. You're saying, I refuse to be average. You're saying, I choose purpose over popularity. That kind of focus doesn't just change your outcomes, it changes your presence. People will feel it. They'll sense something different about you. Not because you're louder, but because you're locked in. Not because you're trying to prove yourself, but because you've already decided who you are. That quiet confidence, that calm intensity, that's what makes you unstoppable. It's not luck. It's not hype. It's the result of consistent, focused execution when no one's watching. You are the architect of your future. Every rep, every choice, every sacrifice is a brick. Stack them with precision. Stack them with purpose. Stack them until your results tower over every doubt that was ever spoken against you. Don't just dream, execute. Don't just plan, dominate. Let your work scream. Let your discipline roar. Let your success be the loudest thing they hear. You don't rise by talking about change. You rise by becoming change. You rise by locking in so fiercely that every part of your life starts to align with a higher standard. You don't need more time. You don't need more luck. You need more commitment, the kind of commitment that doesn't waver with mood, the kind of commitment that doesn't collapse under pressure. Because if your focus is fragile, your future will be too. If your work ethic depends on how you feel, you'll never reach the level you're capable of. Greatness doesn't wait for permission. It shows up every day with or without applause. The path is built through repetition, through showing up even when your mind screams for rest, through locking in when the world is loud. The ones who make it to the top don't chase motivation. They build momentum. And momentum comes from doing the work again and again until discipline becomes your nature. Until focus is no longer a struggle, it's a lifestyle. You wake up, you lock in, and you get it done. No excuses, no distractions, just direction. That level of discipline isn't gifted. It's earned through pain, earned through silence, earned through choices no one sees but everyone eventually feels. You can't fake focus. You can't pretend to be consistent. Sooner or later, The results expose the truth. That's why you must make your commitment stronger than your comfort. Most people crumble because their mind is weak. They quit because they never trained their discipline. They talk about vision but fold under pressure. But you're not here to fold. You're here to build something real. You're here to become someone unshakable. And that means holding yourself to a higher code, especially when no one's watching. You are either fueling your future or feeding your limits. Every action, every habit, every decision is moving you in one direction or the other. That's why focus matters. It's not just about being productive, it's about protecting your purpose. Because when you let distractions win, you're not just wasting time, you're wasting your edge. You're telling your dreams they can wait, but dreams don't wait, they disappear, and if you don't fight for them now, you'll regret it later. Pressure will come, life will hit. But if your focus is forged in purpose, you won't bend. You'll adapt, you'll elevate, you'll keep pushing even when everything in you says stop. That's when you separate from the pack. That's when you become someone people can't ignore, not because you shouted louder, but because your results started doing the talking. Let others chase attention, you chase alignment. Let them seek approval, you seek progress. Let them drift, you decide. Decide to lock in, decide to finish what you started. Decide to go all in every single day until your name becomes synonymous with excellence, until your consistency becomes your legacy, until success no longer needs your words, because your discipline says everything. The reason most people never become who they were born to be is because they keep waiting for the perfect moment. They keep waiting for clarity, for support, for everything to feel right before they start. But that moment never comes. Perfection is a lie. Waiting is a trap. Growth only begins the moment you decide that excuses are no longer an option. You either make progress or you make justifications, but you can't make both. You either step into your potential or you shrink into your patterns. This is not about waiting for life to hand you permission. This is about standing up and giving it to yourself. You were not built to be average. You weren't designed to follow. Deep down you know this. That quiet dissatisfaction you feel isn't something to run from. It's a signal. It's your higher self telling you there is more, that you've settled too long, that you've tolerated too much. And until you stop negotiating with distractions and start aligning with discipline, nothing changes. Life doesn't reward the most talented. It rewards the most focused, the most consistent, the most relentless. You can have all the potential in the world, but if your focus is weak, your future will slip through your fingers. Stop looking for motivation in places that only offer you escape. Your future isn't found in comfort. It's found in the moments you want to quit but choose to keep going. It's built in the dark when no one's watching, when no one's clapping. When you keep showing up because you made a promise to yourself and you refuse to break it, that kind of internal standard, that's what changes everything. Because when you raise your standard, you raise your life. You must be willing to do what others won't. Not because you want to impress them, but because you want to separate from them. You want to live on a level most never touch, and that requires a level of focus most will never understand. The world is full of distractions, notifications, opinions, noise, but none of that builds your future. None of that builds your name. What builds your legacy is your ability to shut out the noise and lock into your mission. Every minute you spend focused is a deposit into the life you want. Every distraction you allow is a withdrawal from your potential. So ask yourself what you're really choosing every day. Are you choosing growth or comfort? Are you choosing progress or excuses? Because your future doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to your actions. And every action is either feeding the future you desire or fueling the failure you fear. You have everything you need right now. The question is, will you use it or waste it? Will you rise or retreat? Will you focus or fold? No one else can answer that for you. It's your life, your vision, your responsibility. Lock in now and don't look back. The future belongs to the focused. No one sees the internal war you're fighting, the quiet battles, the silent decisions, the daily war between your goals and your comfort. But that's where champions are forged, in the unseen, in the unnoticed, in the moments where it's just you and your choices. Success isn't a spotlight. It's not loud. It's the quiet decision to keep going when quitting would be easier. It's waking up and choosing discipline even when comfort is begging you to stay in bed. It's grinding without recognition, pushing without praise, executing without an audience. That's the mindset that builds power. That's the mindset that separates the weak from the focused. Most people want results without the responsibility. They want achievement without the sacrifice. But the truth is, success has a price. And that price is paid in focus. You have to give up the excuses. You have to let go of the distractions. You have to be willing to be misunderstood, overlooked, even doubted, because your focus makes people uncomfortable. Your consistency will expose their laziness, or your growth will challenge their stagnation. But none of that is your concern. You didn't come here to please, you came to conquer. You came to evolve. You came to break limits and rebuild yourself stronger. If your attention is scattered, your power is divided. And divided focus creates diluted results. The more you try to do everything, the less you accomplish anything. That's why you must protect your focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Your future, your freedom, your fulfillment, they all depend on your ability to shut out the noise and pour everything into your purpose. You can't rise when you're distracted by things beneath you. Every minute wasted on things that don't matter is a minute stolen from the life you could be building. You don't get those back. Time is unforgiving. You either use it or you lose it. So eliminate what doesn't serve you. Cut out the habits that weaken you. Walk away from the conversations that drain you. You're not here to fit in. You're here to rise above. You're here to operate on a frequency that average people can't reach. That requires isolation. That requires tunnel vision. That requires an obsession with execution. Not once, not sometimes, but every single day, even when it's boring, even when it's hard, even when no one understands your grind. Your greatness isn't waiting for you to feel ready. It's waiting for you to get focused. It's waiting for you to say no to distractions and yes to discipline. No to comfort and yes to commitment. No to who you were and yes to who you are becoming. Don't let another day slip by being half committed. Don't keep living on the edge of your potential. The time to lock in is now, not later. Not when it's easy, right now. You owe it to yourself to see how far you can go when nothing can break your focus. Your focus is a weapon, but only if you train it. Every time you allow yourself to drift, to scroll, to delay, you dull the edge of your own greatness. You can't live a sharp life with a dull mind. You can't lead yourself into excellence with a distracted spirit. It takes conscious effort to cut through the noise. It takes mental discipline to say no when everything around you is screaming yes. Yes to ease, yes to mediocrity, yes to being like everyone else. But you weren't built for that. You were built to rise, to climb, to push beyond what they said was possible. And that means you've got to do what they won't, think like they don't, lock in where they scatter. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than your past self, every single day. Progress doesn't demand perfection, but it does demand presence. You can't build the life you want with a divided mind. You can't step into your purpose if you keep stepping back into your patterns. The hard truth is, no one is going to save you from your distractions. No one's going to hold your hand through discipline. This is your fight. And if you want to win, you've got to be ruthless about protecting your focus. Ruthless about building your standards. Ruthless about doing the inner work when it would be easier to hide behind comfort. There's a level of life you've never touched because your focus has never been this deep. There's a version of you that only shows up when you eliminate the noise and go all in. You won't find that version scrolling endlessly. You won't meet that version gossiping, overthinking, or chasing cheap validation. You meet that version in solitude, in silence. In the grind and the quiet mornings and late nights where you outwork who you used to be. That's where the shift happens, not in hype, in habits, not in desire, in discipline. It's easy to talk about what you want. It's easy to plan, to daydream, to set goals. But all of that is nothing without focus. And focus without action is just fantasy. You don't need more goals. You need more execution. You don't need louder dreams. You need tighter discipline. The world doesn't respond to your thoughts. It responds to your patterns. The pattern of showing up when no one's clapping. The pattern of saying no when your body wants comfort. the pattern of aligning your actions with your vision, no matter how hard it gets. You are not here to be average. You are not here to settle. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to become undeniable. And that only happens when you eliminate the things that dilute your greatness. Strip away the unnecessary. Sharpen your focus and go all in.